So welcome back to this channel. And as project managers, we have to depend on tools. And today's video is going to be a look at the tool sets that I think we have to think about in terms of which types of tools we have to choose. And I'm going to give you some thoughts on what I have seen used and what I think works. So this is Rohan, and welcome back to the Smarter Manager YouTube channel. And we continue the Project Managers series. And this is video number 5, I think, in that series. And I want you to stick around for all those videos so you can continue to grow with us to be the Smarter Manager. The PM toolset, there's a bunch of things that will stand out when we talk about tools. Jira, Trello, Asana, Slack, Microsoft Projects, Excel, Google Sheets, Monday.com. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more where those come from. So essential project management tools. And again, we're going to be looking at tool sets. The first tool set that we need to make a choice on is project planning and scheduling. You have to choose a tool that's going to help you with project planning and scheduling. And in my mind, hands down, the 3 choices are Smartsheet, Asana, Microsoft Projects. There are others that I have not used a lot, others that I have used and think that they are not worth even mentioning here. And to give you the sense of what I think as my choice in terms of what I have used that works. Smartsheet is a powerful tool. It's a low-code, no-code platform. Unlike Asana, which comes a little bit more packaged and ready with buttons and labels and all that for you to use, Smartsheet, unless you're using a template, will be a blank slate. And Smartsheet is really a powerful set of building blocks that you can build almost any solution on for scheduling, project planning, task management, the whole works. So in terms of project scheduling, Smartsheet is hands down for me the best option that is out there. Microsoft Projects is great, very good with Gantt chart. It's a little bit more on the heavy lifting side, and it has a sort of steeper learning curve, and I think a smaller community of users. Asana is a perfect tool for task management. If you want to see tasks that are assigned to you, tasks that are assigned to your team, where they are with those tasks, scheduling repetitive tasks, Asana is easily the winner there. So in terms of project planning and scheduling, this would be my picks from the options that are there. There are others, Monday.com, Jira, Trello, all of those. They tend to all be semi-similar, and again, if that's the tool that you are using, then it will work. But if you have not made choices and you want to start somewhere, those are my suggestions. The other set of tools that you will need to think about is communication and collaboration tool. And this is where you essentially can communicate, can talk with chat, Slack, Microsoft Teams. Those are powerful messaging platforms. People use WhatsApp and messages and Facebook messages. I think that those are not as professional as Slack and Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams and Slack tends to be, in my mind, similar in terms of what they do. They create the opportunity to bring people together, both internal and external to your organization. And you can keep conversations around specific projects in one area, and it gives you a very organized way of communicating. Obviously, in the world of communication, you're going to need to touch base with your teams. A lot of projects have remote teams. Zoom and Google Meets are strong front runners when it comes to Teams meeting. I did mention SMS and WhatsApp here just because of completion. And I want to go back a little bit to the previous slide and mention something that is important. Inside of both of these, Smartsheet and Asana, you can communicate around the task. So you can tag people, you can add comments, and it can be super clear what task this is So these tools are not going to fall in just one bucket only and not overlap, because you do have some communication power in even a project planning or project scheduling tool. So let's get to the story of the hat. My name is Rohan, and the hat I'm wearing today is a hat from LDI, which is a massive entertainment and technology based conference that's held annually. This one is dear to me. Years ago, when I started my career in Jamaica, I used to fly to Orlando to partake in this conference, to learn, to grow. And fast forward to today, where I have been delivering a project management training session at that conference, trying to help people who have ascended from being subject matter experts, the riggers, the technical directors, the lighting designers who are good workers, and they have been sort of pushed into managing teams and managing projects, but they don't necessarily have the training in that because that's not their area of specialization. And this channel again is sort of targeting people who have happened upon managing projects and you want to get some sort of rounded tips and tricks from somebody who has been trained formally and trained by many years of rigor. Right, so the hat is from LDI, and I am looking forward to LDI coming up this year, later on in the winter. Again, you see, I mentioned this here, and the reason I mentioned this and show this slide that shows a little bit of my experience is, for those who don't know me, my name is Rohan, and I've been in the industry of project management for many years, live entertainment, theme park production, construction projects, education-based projects, and teaching. And I mention this because I want you to understand, when I make suggestions, it's coming from years of experience of doing several projects. It's not just because I like this tool, or certainly not anything with sponsorship or anything like that. So jumping into the third bucket of tools, documents and file management. We are managing information largely, and you have to make choices on that. The Google Workspace is an excellent choice for many of us because we are in that Google system. We have Gmails, we have we're just engrossed in Google Calendar. Many of us use that. If you do, then Google Workspace is a natural choice for you to be able to store your documents and share your documents. Notion and other what started out as note-taking apps are branching out, where you can now store in a more robust and organized way. I still think that is more for notes than for organized project documentation, but it's worth mentioning here. Evernote is one that I didn't mention here because I'm sort of falling out of love with Evernote. I still use it because I have so many notes in it, and it's such a powerful searchable space, but it has become a little less easy to use than many of the others, but it is still just as powerful. SharePoint, if you are in an organization and they use SharePoint is a natural choice, very robust, very expandable, high level of security. Box and Dropbox, these two guys tend to be, I think they're competitors, but in my mind, they pretty much do the same thing. They have little nuances about them. The biggest drawback I have with Box in particular is if you were to share a link to a Box file and you planted that link as a bookmark or on a dashboard, in another 6 months or a year, if you don't jump through hoops, the link is no longer going to work. So they're trying to protect you from being hacked, but oftentimes it ends up with keeping you out of your own treasure box or forcing you to use 12 keys to get into your own treasure box. But Dropbox has similar type of security features, and again, they offer very robust, cloud-based, easy to share, easy to use file storage system, and many of us will use either Dropbox, Box, Google Workspace, or we have some corporation with a drive that is either cloud-based or is physically housed on servers somewhere, and we're using those. So you have to make choices here, and oftentimes these choices are made for you. But I wanted to include this because it is a natural part of it. We are going to have a video that's going to look at file management and naming convention, file sharing, and what you can do as a PM to help your team. Because one of the things that I've always said as a PM, and you have to have this become a part of how you make decisions and what you spend your time doing, and what is quality work for you as a PM. If your work isn't making the lives of the team and the stakeholders easier, then you have room for improvement. And we all have room for improvement. So when it comes to looking out for the team and understanding what they will go through to execute the project, and helping them to make that easier and less friction riddled, creating more friction-free workflows for them, the way we share information is going to be a significant part of how we should think naturally. It should be a second type of default thinking for you as a project manager. All right, so jumping into the next bucket, time tracking and productivity. These two are sort of thrown together. Time tracking is important to note because here's what will happen. You will either work with freelancers who will need to either track their own time on the project, or you're tracking their time. Or you will work in an organization where you have a mix of a project organization and a matrix type, where you have people who are assigned to a department, but they are seconded to multiple projects. And in order to look at the profit and loss for each project, you need to be able to track how many hours or what fraction of their time did they spend on this particular project, so that you can get true labor costs. So Toggl is a great choice. It's one of the ones that I've used that works pretty well. There are others out there. And if you have some ideas you want to add to the comments here, feel free to go ahead and do that. But it's an option that you have to think about. Productivity is very general and very broad. And that has to do more with looking at your workflow and looking at tools that you can utilize to help with that. And there are some very basic ones that I like to use that I will mention or do specific videos on. But the time tracking one here is a real crux of the matter for this bucket. Reporting and dashboards. Power BI, Smartsheet dashboard, Google Sites. Asana has a sort of interface. Slack has an interface where you can bury a bunch of links, and you can have summaries of data being presented. But in terms of what I believe and what I have seen work with a greater sense of fluidity, Google Sites is a free platform that gives you a web page that you can easily program links to. You can bury reports and create a sort of easy to navigate table of content. And remember, a part of the reason for dashboards, and this is how I want us to see dashboards, there are two types of dashboards. And you can actually, if you're skilled with these platforms, you can actually have a mix as well. But the two fundamental types of dashboards are the one that is summarizing data and presenting reports. So you can have a dashboard that shows you at-risk tasks, and you click on it and it shows you all the tasks that are at risk. You could bring that up in a meeting and you could go through that with the team, and that's the dashboard looking at data and giving you a very pointed view into that data, because that's the ones that require discussion and collaboration. The other use of dashboard, which I have found to be priceless, and I'm saying this because I have gotten feedback from people who I have facilitated this with, and it works especially well when you're onboarding staff. And I'm going to take a minute to talk about this. Onboarding means a couple of things. It means either you are gathering a bunch of freelancers to do this project, or you work in an organization and you are given resources from the organization to execute this project. And both of those will mean that you are going to be exposed to the material before the people who are working on the project as a project manager. And one of the things that I've found to be useful is creating a dashboard, which is a table of content that helps people who are coming into the project get a sort of snapshot, high level table of content. So picture this: if you're coming on board and you're being brought on to review some construction documents, and I share with you a link that is a link to a Google site, or a link that is to a Smartsheet dashboard, or a link that is to an Asana dashboard, whatever it is. And on that dashboard, instead of giving you the folder structure, detail, and asking you to learn this and figure out where things are, I understand what your role is going to be and what's going to be top of the mind for you. So for you to start working and feel like you can get to the work super early, the dashboard will show you a link to the drawings that are to be reviewed and a link to the supportive documents. So once you get that, you are immediately connected to the work, as opposed to the absence of that. And then you have an orientation session where we try to teach you how we share folders, how we store, how we divide, what the folder structure is like. And all of that is stuff that you will learn eventually. But what the dashboard does, when we can send you links that are relevant to your start and bury things that are here, and in moving forward, train and coach you on, hey, if you are shared with this to this document and it's important to you, then you can add it to that dashboard. So it becomes a starting point for you to get to the work faster, for you to organize those links, and for you to not be overwhelmed by the fact that this may be stored in a Google Doc. This may be stored as a Smartsheet link. This is stored as a PDF because it's something from the client. This may be a numbers document because it's a work in progress. So all of those things are sort of thrown into this table of content, aka dashboard. And what it means for you to utilize that is the ability to just read and click, and you can get to the work faster than somebody who will have to sit and spend time to figure out and learn and study the folder structure and the documents we're using and the platforms we're using. So I challenge you to talk about the dashboards and give me your comments. Let me know how you feel about that. And there is a video I've already done on dashboards, and as a part of this project management series, I'm gonna get into how to utilize dashboards in a more detailed way. So, but I wanted to mention it here because it's a super important type of tool and superpower that you have as PM. Speaking of superpowers, number 6, AI and automation it's a game changer. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not harvesting and leaning on the use and the power that's here. Remember when we were back in school, and I'm giving away my age here, when we had exams and we were not allowed to use calculator, and the teacher would say, you will not always have a calculator, so you have to learn to do it without. Now everybody has a calculator in their pockets. And with that comes lots of power to process data and to give you help. So ChatGPT and general AI tools in particular can be utilized to help you to draft email, to expand on ideas you have. One of the things, or two things I will mention here, just to not turn this into an AI sort of conversation. One, it is extremely useful to use to get ideas and identify gaps. So if you are doing a project and you want to do a risk register, I would challenge you to create a risk register without the help of AI. Plunge it into AI, give them the context and say, hey, what are the gaps? And AI will look at that and give you ideas on what's missing. or you can decide to have AI generate it and then you be the one to edit it. Which takes me to the second point on this. Human oversight is super important when it comes to AI and the documents and the feedback you get from it. You absolutely have to make sure that you're using human oversight to vet through the material. I've seen people who have gotten even into having one AI generate documents and having another AI critique it. And then you are in the middle sort of watching and learning. So it definitely is worth mentioning. It's a bucket that is the sixth bucket of types of tools that we have to choose from, and we can't ignore it in a day and age that we are operating in. Zapier is one that does a lot of interconnection of apps, and anything that's automated. So if you get an email and it has certain keywords, you can use Zapier to pull it into certain to-do tasks and connect meeting notes to your Asana or connect your Slack to Asana, and a lot of the integrations that these platforms may have without a third party is great. But if there is integration that is not offered intrinsically in the two platforms you have, Zapier usually comes in as a third party that can do what they call zaps and connect the two. And it is a little tech heavy. It's super useful. I just want to mention it here and say it has its uses, but learn it and utilize it where you deem necessary. There is another one that I like, which I want to mention, that is called Snagit, which is a glorified sort of screenshot tool that's on steroids. One of the most powerful things, or two of the most powerful things on it. One, it allows you to take screenshots, and it has a feature where you can automatically have it redact sort of sensitive material, because it uses AI to look at the material and it blurs it out for you. Another super useful case for that is it has a feature where if you are recording, let's say you have a platform and you're testing or wanting to train somebody on how to retrieve documents and store documents in the system that you have and how to label it. So you want to create a SOP, and oftentimes we do it and we take multiple screenshots and then we produce a PDF. Well, Snagit does that for you, and that's what I use it for more than anything else. You open the tool and it can even do it for multiple screens. So if I have 2 screens or 3 screens and I'm doing a process, I go to this document, I click here, I go to this, I click here, I open this, and then I save it in this other application, and I click on this screen and click on this screen, and what it does in the background, it records all of those clicks and screenshots of them, and then produces an editable PDF. So if when you look at the PDF with the screenshots and your mouse, if you choose to record your mouse, you can reorder it, you can add comments, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, and it just makes for creation of those SOPs a lot easier than the way of screenshotting and pasting into a document and then you manipulate it. So I had to mention that in this automated game changer category of tools. All right, so here is what I want to say, and I'm gonna just sort of be open and honest with you now. The idea behind this channel is to help everybody grow to become a smarter manager. And you have made it this far in the video, which means that you want to become a smarter manager. And learning the how is not usually the problem. If you want to learn how to do anything in today's age, you have access to the information. So here is what I want to say. With the nugget that you have picked up, and I'm hoping you've picked up at least one nugget in this video, start small with implementing that. Choose a tool that solves an immediate pain point, implement it, make it become a habit, starting small where you cannot fail, and grow with it. Don't incorporate 5 concepts at the same time. It's going to become challenging. Integrate these concepts into your workflow until it becomes a natural part of it. And it's super important that we train our teams. And this is always the question I get. What if I train them and they leave? And that's not necessarily the question that we should be asking. We should be asking, the question is, what if you don't train them and they stay with you? Then you have untrained people who are less efficient. So you absolutely have to think of training your team. And if it's training on tools, training on interaction, training on people skills, training on systems, training on concepts in project management, in the subject matter that you are managing, absolutely you have to continue to endorse and push in a formal way training for your team. And here is one that I want to throw in there as PMs and as people interacting and doing work together. Celebrate. And we often think of celebration as when we have achieved the pinnacle of success, we then have a party. We have very few pinnacles of success in our lives. Those are few and far between. A way to help us all enjoy the journeys to those pinnacles is to celebrate each action, celebrate each week, find a way to measure your successes and celebrate them, right? It's gonna make interaction a lot smoother. It's gonna make your success, it's gonna make you a smarter manager. It's gonna make your team more engaged and everybody wins. All right. So thank you guys for sticking with me. Again, if you like this video, please go ahead and like, and more importantly, share it with someone who you think would benefit from this content. There are many people who are getting into project management, getting into management, and they would benefit from this content. And I don't have direct connection with all. So I'm challenging everybody who is watching this. Think of one person who you think this would help and share with them, and help us grow this to reach more people. And I really appreciate that. All right, so until next time, this is Rohan from the Smarter Manager YouTube channel saying thank you for joining and see you in the next video.